Hi, good to see you again. Dr. Johnson here for our 10th installment, the 10th lesson on virtue, and it's entitled The Call to Live a Virtuous Life. Father Wilfred Stinnison, who wrote a great book, Into Your Hands, Lord, says this: there should be a time in the life of every Christian when they become only an instrument of God and nothing else. Wow, that is quite a powerful statement. There should come a time when we are totally devoted to God. Wow, that sounds like we can't even walk on this earth. Well, not quite. God has given us something to help us, and they're called virtues. There's really many reasons for trying to live, and for striving, I should say, for living a virtuous life. But here are the big four reasons why you would like to live a virtuous life. First, do you want to be happy? True happiness emerges from living a virtuous life. In my book, Find True Happiness, I try to devote lots of time and energy and lots of ink to that very topic, but it's true. The second reason for living a virtuous life is it improves the quality of your life. Virtue vastly improves the quality of your life, your family life, your friends, and all parts of your life. Number three, virtue increases your God consciousness. Virtue, I call, is the road to Emmaus, to conversion, to better align your being, your innermost presence, with God, the essence that's inside of you. And finally, as we found in last session, number 9, virtue heals. The healing power of virtue is well documented. In my book, Prayers for Spiritual Strength, I talk about it all the time. And in the Spiritual Strengths Healing program is built all around the notion that virtue is healing. So, what do we do with all this virtue? Well, as you dive into the pool of virtue in your soul, and I do believe that there is a pool of virtue in your soul, you come out of the water newly ordained, not only to live a virtuous life, but to become a sower of virtue. You surrender, in effect, your life to God, and you do that through virtue. You have found then a new purpose, a new meaning for your life, that we all become like, Johnny Appleseed supposedly spread apple seeds throughout America and grew all these apple trees. Well, we become kind of like Johnny Appleseeds of virtue, that every day we sow the seeds of virtue out there. And in so doing, we become healed and we become happier. We give our yes to the Holy Spirit, and at that moment we find new life purpose in healing ourselves, healing others, trying to heal the world, which I think we could all agree needs some healing. So the very act of inviting virtue into your life begins to saturate you and all the 6 functions of your personality. We'll talk about that in a bit. You are not the same as you were before. You become brand new. You become refreshed, renewed, repurposed, repositioned, realigned. It's a lot of re's. So virtues are more than skills. They are actually the power behind the skills that you develop to move forward. Virtues shape your beliefs, the first function of the personality. Virtues give deeper meaning to your perceptions, the second function of your personality. Virtue offers greater meaning to your thoughts, the third function. Control to your emotions, the fourth function. Energize your decisions and your choices, the fifth function. And finally, virtue propels your actions, which is the sixth function of your personality. Let me try to elucidate on each one of these. To live a virtuous life means that you want to invite virtue to be the powerhouse, so to speak, of your believing function of your personality. So once you come to know, not only believe, but deeply know that you have been lavishly blessed by God with specific and special virtues, which we call your 6 signature virtues, and that these virtues animate your soul and give authentic life to your life, it's then when you can move to an automatic response and spread these virtues not only into your own heart, but as you do, consequently and almost automatically, all these virtues, you start becoming the Johnny Appleseed and sowing these seeds of virtue out into the world. The second function of the personality is the perceiving function, or what we see, what we perceive. And once you can see that virtue is indeed the premier healing power, and consequently envision your need for virtue and everyone else's need for virtue and for healing, then you can also realize that your call to help quench the thirst of the world by spreading and sowing virtues is quite evident. The third function of the personality is your thinking function, all the ways that you make meaning out of your life, out of the world. And once your virtue-driven thinking enlightens you to begin evaluating and to assess your role in healing a broken world, it's then when your own thoughts become transformed. You become brand new, pivoting away from those confining shadows and destructive compulsions that plague your soul to find true healing of body, mind, and spirit. The fourth function of your personality is the feeling function. So how do we feel virtue, or with virtue? Well, I would say that once you deeply feel the emotions generated by intentionally trying to live a virtuous life, you experience, sooner or later, an overwhelming delight of gratitude that thrills your soul and uplifts your heart. I know these are big statements, but it actually happens. I can see it in my patients, my counseling patients all the time. And in so doing, you can leave the vestiges of sorrow and sadness behind. You become happier. The fifth function of your personality is the deciding function, how we make choices in our life. Once you decide to choose a virtuous life as your singular goal, then all your decisions of any dimension become new starting points for showing virtue to others. It's as though that you can't stop yourself from sowing the seeds of virtue wherever you go. This doesn't mean you become some goody two-shoes, no, but it does mean that you're practicing truth, beauty, and goodness. And that is immensely attractive to other people. People like other people who are showing virtue. So it's additive all the way around. The final and sixth function of your personality is the acting function. And I would say that once you taste the sweetness of dedicating your actions to the call of virtue, then all of your behaviors, big and small, take on the holy patina of God, healing you and healing the world. And when you have authentically surrendered your personality to God, and I know that's a huge statement, and no one can totally surrender their personality to God, but as we move through life, we inch closer and closer to do that, then there's nothing else left to do but sow happiness, and consequently find your own happiness when you're doing that. And finally, in his book, The Theory and Practice of Virtue, Gilbert Melander writes, "We should anticipate connection between the virtues and our actions, but it's never a perfect fit." So what is he saying here? He's saying, well, here we have all the virtues here, and when we allow the virtues to be the primary force, the primary motivator of our actions, then that brings us happiness. But he's giving us a little caveat. He's saying, but it's never a perfect fit. Yes, I guess we can say that the world is imperfect, and nothing really is perfect in this world. But when we put virtue as our daily goal, then we no longer focus on the imperfections of the world, but only on the closest approximations we have of perfection. And that is the presence of the Holy Spirit in virtue right here, right now. Thanks for listening to me for this 10th lesson. I'll be looking forward to seeing you the next time when we look at our 11th lesson, which is going to be the difficulties in living a virtuous life. Thanks. Have a great week.